Thank you for joining me today. This is not a huge crowd, but this is a very interesting topic. First, when I came in and saw that thing, it says Maggie Talks Sex. So I thought, oh my gosh, people would think that this is a porn porn class, or how to have sex better. This will be anyway, so I'll give you some tips here and there. Not that I know any better. So I have to start with a story, why I came up with this awkward subject. This was never my dream when I became a full-time practitioner. But a year ago, in August last year, when I visited one of my teachers, he's 80 years old, and he said to me, very soon, this entire world is going to be upside down by sexual perversions. So I figured, well, he's probably talking about 10 years down the road or 5 years down the road. But then, by then, I stopped resisting what my teacher is saying, because I'm the opposite one who always, don't do this and I have to try it and come back, and that's my style. But then by then I gave up. So I prepared and did it anyway, although back of my head going, why me? I'll be the last person. And I'm not even married. I think it's more appropriate for married people to talk about this subject. So I did the first talk, and between the second talk, when I booked the second talk and before the second talk actually happens, that's when the hashtag #MeToo movement started. So then I knew my teacher was talking about something that he already knew. When he meant very soon, meaning less than 6 months. So here we are. When I did the first talk, people are just looking at me thinking, what is she doing? What a weird woman. But then the second time when I went to that talk, people are going, oh, okay, we understand why we have to do this talk. So this talk is about fundamentals of sex, not the porn sense of naked two bodies like sweating, which is nice too, when it happens at the right time with the right person. But that's not what sex is all about. So we have a lot of, so for example, a lot of people have weird sexual perversions like fetishes, but we don't know how far we're going, for example. So say when the hashtag movement started, one stand-up comic in the States, he'd like to masturbate when a woman is watching. So if that were me, I go ahead, dude, I'll watch you. But then another guy is he's forcefully having sex with another woman. But then why did they do it? Why did they do that way with women? Because they can, simply. Because they can, they had the power. And I'm sure the opposite is happening as well, women forcing men to have sex with them. But then that's proportionally not as much as guys are doing. Guys are in a powerful position socially. So when we go completely off the chart, having like really weird fetishes, we don't know how far we're going. We think that everybody thinks that they're normal. Then when you're going that far off, the only way you can get next satisfaction is you have to make the stimulation stronger. So you go deeper and deeper, spiraling down. So by the time you realize it, you've just gone too far. So ended up you have to draw blood to get that sexual excitement, and then you end up doing all kinds of stuff that you shouldn't be doing. So then, the thing is that we don't talk about sex openly. Probably this is one of the rare cases that people actually talk about sex. People, I mean, me. So, because we never talk about it, because we all figure it out on our own. When we go through the teenage period, that we do a lot of experimentation, kissing the wrong people, and that's how we sort of figuring out on our own. And people get pregnant and raising children, and the next generation comes and still the same thing. And so talking about sex openly was never encouraged to us. So this is the opportunity to really open up and talking about it. And So why then? Why sex becomes such a taboo subject, although everybody's doing it? We eat 3 meals a day. We talk about food all the time. We take pictures and post it up on our social network. But then we can't do that with sex, although we do it not every day, but we'd like to do it every day, but we can't really do that. But where it began. 7,000 years ago, about 7,000 years ago, we have some Chinese people here and some people who recognize some Chinese characters. This is the yeah. This means regular person, average person in Chinese character. In Korean pronunciation is Hongbu, and probably in Cantonese pronunciation is Fanfu, regular guy, regular person. So when they created this word regular, what does it look like to you? Chinese characters, it's a lot of they take the shape out of it. Can you guess what this means? What they trying to show or represent? Come on. It's a kindergarten level. Probably 5-year-old kids like, I know what they are. 2 legs. 2 legs. And something in the middle. This is the genital. So they knew when they created this Chinese character, they're probably a chief gathered everybody, all the smart people, and saying, hey, guys, I'm going to call this regular, normal, average. Anybody object? And they go, yeah, it seemed like a good idea. So this becomes the character for average, which means that's how we are made of. Not just us. Our parents, grandparents, we are from sex. That's how we're made. How could we not closely related to this subject? So that. And goes another story that is what everybody's familiar with in the Bible. In the Bible, one day, God said that, okay, I created the world and animals and everything else, and he created Adam, who exactly looks like him. And then later, he created Eve to hang out with his creation, Adam. Then after he created, he goes, all right, guys, listen. I'll give you this garden called Garden of Eden, and this is yours. It's under your name. You're entitled to do whatever you want, except there's a fine print on the back of the page, a small fine print saying, except do not touch or do anything with the tree that is right in the middle of the garden. Don't do it, don't touch it, don't do anything. But you can do everything you want. And so, of course, Adam didn't do it, but then Eve, she figured that she was curious. And she goes, what would it be like? God told me not to do it, but it sounds really interesting now. So of course, she seduced Adam. That's what the Bible says. And then Adam, I don't think it's Adam's fault, because Adam, how could he say no to a naked woman who's seducing him? Of course he would say yes for anything. So they did it. They ate the apple. As soon as they ate the apple, what happened was immediately she realized that her naked body and his naked body. So they took the fig leaves and started covering themselves because they felt ashamed of their naked body. And that's the origin of fashion industry. Because last season, fig leaves, seriously, that is so wrong, girl. So you have to get the latest season of fig leaves. That's the origin. Everything is originated from sex. So that's the origin of the fashion industry. Then of course they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And so, well, they have to do this eating apple thing in a hidden place. So that's the origin of architecture, because you needed to have a hidden place to eat the apple together. So when they built these beautiful places to eat the apple together, then of course it's not, dude, you're not the only one having this beautiful cave, decorated cave. And there are other guys, and so they have to seduce these women, need to convince them. So they start writing poems, literature, the origin of literature, music and dance that you're familiar with, and all that stuff is originated from sex. So knowing that origin of how people start having sex and knowing all that, no wonder it is hidden. So sex jokes are always funny. Do you know any sex jokes? Any sex jokes? For example, how can you tell if a woman is having an orgasm? How can you tell? 4 years? How can you tell? The answer is, who cares? Who cares? That's the answer. And what is 68? Anybody know what 68 is? Do you know what 69 is?
Yeah.
68 means, you go down on me, I owe you one. That's 68. Then what is the number one reason men wake up in the middle of the night? You don't wake up in the middle of the night? Why? Dreams? To go home. To go home.
Already.
Yeah, to go home. So these kind of things makes us laugh because I don't want to talk about it, but since you brought it up, I would laugh because it's something hidden. So then what? So then we do a lot of things to have sex. You know, including myself, we go out of our ways. We need to wine them, dine them, not me, but then, you know, guys need to wine girls, wine them, dine them, confuse them, and then we do gift them. We do everything to have sex. And then we also do something that we shouldn't be doing to have sex. Role partners, all kinds of things are happening. Then why? Why are we going through that much of trouble to have sex? If it is just a workout, pure workout, you wouldn't work that hard. If you have to go to gym and sweating that much and burning that much a calorie, no, I don't think you'll be like trying that hard, but there's got to be something. And that is to get orgasms. So since we're not sure about what orgasm is, anyone who's familiar with what orgasm is? Ladies? Yeah, a little bit. She's French, so that's okay. So before we explain orgasms, I have to explain what our body is like. Because it's all related to, it's a physical thing. So this is the Eastern practitioners' look at sex. So this is our body. Legs. We're just cross our legs like this. So we have, in India, we have 7 chakras, starting from the root chakra, way in, all the way to the top. It's divided by 7 different chakras. But in the East, we look at 3 important things. One here, under your, for ladies, that is a uterus. For women, that's uterus. For men, between, below the belly button and right above the pain. So maybe I should move this location a little bit up. So here, that's 1 chakra, and then heart chakra is the number 2, and then here, the third eye. So third eye has the energy of fire, the elements of the fire, and this is water. So the nature of fire element is going upwards. When we light a fire, candles, anything, unless it's artificial, that is going downwards, that is a controlled fire, that is useful fire. Otherwise, everything, when you light it, it goes upwards. So this is a fire element. The nature is going upwards. And water elements, the nature of water elements is going downwards. Water always drains down. So nature of it is going down. So imagine we are born as a battery. This is a full charged battery when we're born. naturally our energy starts draining upwards and downwards and draining. So once it's completely drained, then we die. So how, this one naturally goes up. Water, this is like a liquid in Chinese, this is like this. Right? Chong. This radical here is rice. So rice, meaning, rice look-alike sound is here. So milky water, sperm. So sperm is the battery acid, and this is liquid form of life. So this one drains, men naturally drains. For men, it is through ejaculation, through sex or masturbation and whatever, through ejaculation. For women, through monthly periods. We naturally drain it down. So over time, this one drains that way and this drains that way, and then once the battery is completely drained, then that's the time that we need to look for a new body. Then we move on, right? So this is Chong, and this is Qi. It has a left and right, but we'll just put it just one. And this is Shin. This is a spirituality or wisdom. So between liquid form of life and spirituality, what we want to do is, instead of draining all this up and down, what we want to do is put our awareness in our tantian, lower belly, or for ladies it's in the uterus. We put the fire and boil the water, and water transforms. Once the water gets boiled, it transforms and goes upwards. And then fire comes down, and it circulates this way, and making a full cycle. This is how Easterners train through their breathing, meditation. Just simply putting your awareness down in your lower belly alone creates the heat, and it transforms and cools your head down. Because a lot of times when we get really upset or stressed, our chi, energy, goes upwards. So have you noticed that when you're really upset, your face turns red, or you have a headache? Something to do with headache. It's all happening because of that. So instead of natural drainage, we want to circulate, and then strengthening this a little stronger so we can drain, we can harness the energy in the air, in the space, make this stronger, and then we can harness the energy to do something else. Now, once we understand this, so what we want to do is put this fire awareness down here and boil the water, and we refine this life energy to become Qi, and refine this Qi to become Shin, the wisdom and spirituality, and refine this Shin, the spirituality and wisdom, to Pa, nothingness. Yeah, to nothingness. So then it goes back to the cycle again, but this nothingness is all creation itself, all the minus energy. So we're bringing back to the minus energy, circulating again. This is all close to enlightenment. So then where is the orgasm part? Again, anything to do with any creation in symbolism, for thousands of years symbolism, or anything, even male sperm and women's eggs is fire energy, male sperm energy, and women's is water. So water and fire meets, that becomes yin and yang, this tai chi. It's fire and water. And this is plus minus. So then as soon as they meet, they start turning, and that's when it creates all the life. That's how the life begins. So orgasm meaning this plus and minus energy. This is plus energy, yang energy, this is minus energy. So plus and minus meaning these two is striking two electrical lines. You're striking them together. What happens? It strikes. That's orgasm. How long does it last when you just strike them? Seconds. Seconds of orgasm. For those seconds, we pay for dinner, hotel rooms, and gifts, and flowers, and wines. So that's what orgasm is. So this one strikes and having the electroshock, that's exactly the same as an epileptic fit. So when people are having epileptic fit, what happens? Unless you have one, involuntary muscle spasms and a bit of a shaking, and then your mind, you lose your mind. If you're having an orgasm and being able to talk coherently, or spouse's name or partner's name, it's a fake orgasm, right? We all know that. So you lose your mind, and then shaky movements. So while it's happening, this the sparks burns off our wisdom, spirituality. That's the only downside of it. So, have you heard of this expression that if you masturbate too much, for teenage boys, if you masturbate, do you tell your son, if you masturbate too much, you're gonna go blind? I'm sure you've heard that. But that doesn't stop men from masturbating. But the thing is, it is true. Because if you burn this off too many times, you burn off all the spirituality or wisdom that you little had. So what happens is you feel kind of dull, kind of hazy. That's what's happening. So now, then we shouldn't have sex? No, that's not what I meant. We should have it. So with the normal partners, how many like really, partners that you have a really strong relationship with? Maybe 2 or 3, maybe some sluts 4 or 5. Even then, 3 or 4 really intense relationship. So probably their relationship, their sex life, when they first met, just going near each other, you feel the electricity, that little bit of that tingling sensation, is like, excitement. So probably first sex life is like from nothing to a lot of it. No, it should be steeper than that. Here, and then it goes like that, and then you become family here. From here, the family's over.
Tell me about it.
Then you become a family's over. And then you meet a new partner. This cycle begins again, and then goes down again. So this is a normal people's entire lifetime. That's what's happening. Whereas people who have a lot of exciting sex life goes like this, because they enjoy that sensation of this orgasmic sensation. So their life goes like this. So obviously this drains way more than usual. So for women, it doesn't happen not as frequently, but generally for gentlemen. For men, what's going to happen is when you lose all this liquid form of life, women's cycle, physical cycle, goes every 7 years. 7 years, and men goes by every 8 years. So 7 times 7, 49. That's the time when, give or take a couple of years here and there, that's when women start having their menopausal. Men, 8 times 7 is 56. Around man's age 56, that's when their libido start going down like drastically. That's the sign that when you're driving, there is a empty gas tank sign, like yellow light, ding. Once it's on, I used to believe that, it's like yellow light is on, we can still go 20 more kilometers. And then I got into trouble so many times. So that red lights start coming on at 56. That's generally what's happening. I'm just generalizing. So by 56, women not as significant as men, because we don't depend on this so much. So men reach 56, if they had a really, really exciting life, then what happens is they start having low tank signal. The yellow light comes on, which means they start having that symptoms of same as the orgasm when they feel. They start having shaky hands, and then their mind goes in and out. They lose their mind often, and they get haggard look, and they turn black. Chinese way of face turning black, not the color black, but the facial tone of black, right? So they're turning blackish, and then they get really skinny, and they start having shaking symptoms. Not all people who have shaking symptoms after 56 had a exciting sex life, but whoever had very exciting sex life, when they reach this age, give or take, and start developing those symptoms, it's because of they used up their life energy. So,
How do you relate the Zeng to a root chakra? Is it the same thing?
root chakra is one in Hui Yin. Hui Yin is root chakra.
okay.
So root chakra,
So Zeng is not root chakra.
Jing is not root chakra. That is a male sperm.
Oh, okay.
So so how you fix this issue is that it's medically impossible once you reach that age. The only way to fix this issue is through qigong, because this is a life energy. So you blast the energy, so it's like a jumping somebody else's car. When the car battery is completely dead, somebody comes over and jump the car, that's the same thing that's happening. So you can only cure the symptoms with qi, nothing else. That's why this practice is very important. So what we're trying to do is what the Easterners, practitioners used to do is the more you save this and keep it and full of this battery acid, this battery will stay longer, healthier until the day you die. I mean, we can't. So there's some old practitioners who used to live 18,000 years or something like that, because they can prolong their lifespan as long as they can, simply because, so that they can, during that extended lifetime, they can raise their consciousness level higher and higher, as high as they can possibly do. That way, when our number gets picked from upstairs and going, Jacqueline, it's your time, we gotta go. We have to drop everything and leave. The only thing that you can take with you is not your husband, not your money, not your bank account, not your looks. It's only thing that you take with you is your consciousness level. That way, when you lose this body, you can navigate yourself with your own will. This is what I wanted, and this is what I want next life, and this is what I haven't fulfilled in this lifetime. So the only thing is to can navigate through the next life is having higher level of consciousness. So practitioners used to do that, but Qigong practitioners, they don't really have to worry about as much, because they constantly, the whole practice is about building up this Tantian area. So the whole practice is not to, if somebody says that, hey, I've been practicing this for so long, and so I don't have a sexual desire anymore. I don't find girls hot anymore, I don't get any desires, that is not the right way to practice. What we want to do is, we want to still see beautiful women or good-looking men. We still appreciate that, but not necessarily do anything stupid with it. So you can kind of pause yourself a little bit. I mean, as we have human bodies, we all know we have desires. And then sexual desire is the strongest out of all the desires. Probably survival, next to survival, sexual desire is as strong as that. So that strong desire, we want to turn that into wisdom. So there's a certain technique that we use. Maybe we'll try at the end, I'll do about 5 minutes of it, about 3 minutes of it. So when you turn, that desire happens. A lot of times when that desire happens, you open your laptop and search like whatever, www. Either you do that, of course I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but the thing is, particularly for teenage kids, teenage boys, or people who have some stronger desires than other people, this is one way to control, and then turn that desire internally through to build more wisdom. So in the end, after you're practicing a lot, you still know how to appreciate it, but when the time comes, you apply it or use it properly.
Somebody said it's helpful if you learn how to sing. Singing practice, you use a lot of dantian.
Mm-hmm.
Does it